So this tech talk is about contributing to Pharo. And the idea is that I want to show all the three things that you might want to do. So the first thing is, how do I report a problem that I find? How to use the issue tracker, show it a bit so that you can see how to use it, how to look for things. The second thing is, of course, how to contribute a fix to an existing issue. And the third thing is how to review existing fixes of other people and comment on them so that we can actually integrate them into the system. So the first thing that I will do is I will show the issue tracker. So I did make some slides just as an explanation, but I will not really use them now, but I will upload them later to the archive so that people have something to look at independently of the video with all the links that I will use. They are shown here in the slides. So our issue tracker is called Manuscript. And it used to be called Fogbugs. They changed the name recently, I think some months ago. And it is created by a company at the bottom. You can see that called Fog Creek Software, which you might know from the interesting blog posts that they had at the beginning about the company. And it's a commercial product. It costs $10 per seat per month. But for open source projects like Pharo, it is possible to get a sponsorship. And the company was nice enough to sponsor us, which is really appreciated. The Pharo version is, of course, pharo.manuscript.com, which will get you immediately to the issue tracker. So if you are logged in like me, you will see immediately the last query that you did shown there. But for you, it will be, if you don't have an account, it will more look like the old Fogbugs works still, the domain. I can show that too. It will look like this. So that means you have not much information. You have a link to Pharo. You have the most important register here. So where you can click and fill out this form, and this will make you an account so that you can be a full member of the system and use it. Needing an account to even look at the issues is a bit sad sometimes, but needing an account in general is important because spam is a real problem. So we used to have here some possibility to just enter issues, but we had to turn it off because it gets abused a lot. So this is the idea, and then you end up in the issue tracker. You have the list of issues here, which is actually quite a lot. So all the open ones are shown by default, and you can scroll through, and you can see that it's 692 right now. But if you look at how many there are that were, so at first you think 700 issues is a lot, but if you put the filter here to not open cases but closed cases, then you will quickly see that which is of course a bit slow because there are many. You can quickly see that we actually closed a lot of issues. So 700 is in the big scheme of things not that of a problem. So let's wait until it renders. Yeah, so if we scroll here to the end, whoop, you can see that we actually had 18,297 issues, and of those, only 700 are still open. So it's actually quite a lot of issues that we go through. So let's change this again to open. Yeah. So I like to, so you have a filter menu, and I like to look at it in 90% of all time in the filter newest first, which means that the issues that people added last are shown at the top. And the reason for that is that it's mostly the issues that people care about are the ones that are there. So it's, yeah. But there are other things that you can do. You can say, for example, if you want to not get depressed about the open issues, but you want to see what we did this week, you can see that we actually closed 79 issues. There are issues like this one where just someone, so every time someone opens an account, there will be an issue created for that person so that the new user can play with it. And this, of course, gets close to. So 79, sometimes it's not really close issues. Another thing that we do, and we have maybe even let's see if we have an example for that. Issues that have, no, we have no example right now. So issues that have seen no changes for 1 year will actually get automatically closed. So we have a system that runs once a day that checks all issues, and the ones that are older than 1 year and have seen no activity in the whole 1 year will actually be automatically closed with a notice that says this issue was not looked at, or nobody cared about it for 1 year. There are many changes happening. You need to look at it again to see if it's still relevant. It's no problem to reopen cases. We do that a lot, but it's important that old cases get closed, because in the past I closed so many cases. So then at some point I was looking at a case, spent half an hour only to find out that it has been fixed 6 months ago already with another issue, or the amount of duplicated issues that exist and things like that are quite high. So it's quite important to not drone in old issues all the time. Yeah, filters are interesting. We can look at the issues that are reported for Pharo 6, which are not that many. We should actually go through them and see which are still relevant. You can look at the issues that have been fixed upstream. There you can see that there is an Epicea fix that has been done. And there it's important to at some point check if they have been integrated or not, and close the issue. Or here one for Z and MIME type. There was a change done in the repository. Other interesting filters can be cases I am involved in, shows you just the ones that you did something with. Or integration is interesting, that you can, for Pharo 6, these are the ones that actually will be added very soon, like Iceberg and Epicea. Yeah, things like that. Or you can look for priority. We are not using priority that much, but it can be interesting to look at it. And of course, recategorizing priority cases is something that is interesting to do, so that we actually get the issue tracker cleaned up. Yeah, so that's the issue tracker. So how do you make a new issue? Let's put it back to newest first. If you want to add a case, you can just go on new case and fill it out. So for example, one idea could be, let's see, there was something for Pharo 6, some problem. So when in Pharo 6, when Iceberg is in the menu at the wrong spot, I think, and there was a fix in Pharo 7, or an improvement, that there is priority for things in the world menu. Menu priority. So that Iceberg actually is not shown as the top one, but it's there where Monticello used to be. And so I'm not really sure about it, so I write it a bit like defensive. It seems that in Pharo 6 there is the word the wrong spot. backport Pharo 7 changes. Then you open with Pharo 6 here, and you created an issue tracker entry. Of course, it's very easy to add issue tracker entries, and it's a bit dangerous to add all your wishes that you ever had as an issue, which I found not really that good, because in the end, so if it's something really simplistic that can be fixed fast, that makes sense. You can add all of those; they will be fixed. I mean, things like these, something like this, or a comment, things like that are like you can always add. But if it's bigger wishes like Pharo should render with OpenGL all its windows and it'll be very fast or whatever, things like that, that makes not too much sense. So an issue tracker is not a wish list. It's really something that needs to be a bit more concrete, because it's not really likely that just because you put an issue tracker entry that someone else will just work on that, just because you think it's a nice thing. Even so, the other person might think it too, that it's a nice thing, but the same like you will not do it, nobody else will do it either. So it needs to be a bit more concrete. In the past, we even went through the issue tracker and moved wish list items into a wish list, which I'm not sure if we still have it, but in the wiki portion of the issue tracker, we put all the wish list items, and that was a good thing. So then we went to the wish list 2 years later, and interestingly, all of the things were done without being non-actionable things in the issue tracker. So that's the issue tracker for now. The next thing that I wanted to show is how to actually fix something with Pharo 7. And for that, I will just show what I'm doing right now when I want to fix something. So I have my directory where I do all the Pharo 7 work. I have currently Pharo, which I will remove. And then I will do a fresh install to show you how this works. So I will get Pharo on the command line, which is the quickest, and start it up. So now we have Pharo. If the fonts are too small, you need to tell me. But I think if you use a high quality stream, it should be fine to do it like this. So the idea is that how we actually do contributions in Pharo 7 is that we use GitHub. So that means we need to go to GitHub. There you can see that there is under Pharo -project/Pharo, there is the whole Pharo source code for bootstrapping the image. And there we have pull requests. So if you click here, you see all the current pull requests. And any change that you want to contribute to Pharo 7 will end up being a pull request, like the ones that are listed here. So we have right now 22 open ones and an amazing 839 closed ones. Closed, of course, means not merged, but we can check how many of those are. And then you see that there are 731 issues that were actually merged and not only closed, because they were not good. Most of the closed issues are actually the first 100 or so. When the system was set up, there were lots of test issues and things like that were closed. Or when something is not good, not the right way to do, then it's better to close. Or if you want to work on it, but not now, it might be good to close the pull request and contribute it later, because it's a bit, we do not want to have a lot of these pull requests in the queue, because it just means that it would grow indefinitely and end up like the issue tracker with 700 issues, which of course is not at all useful. So these are pull requests. And the first thing that I want to show is how to, oh, there's one mentioned. Oh, no, that's not about us. So how do I make a pull request? The first thing that you need is that you need on GitHub your own fork of Pharo itself. So for me, my fork is here. It was created simply by pressing the fork button on the main repository of Pharo. So you just click there and you will create a fork for yourself. That you need to do once. And the reason why you need it is that to do a pull request on GitHub, a pull request is that you did the commit to your own repository and you ask the main Pharo repository to merge your changes in your repository. So that's why you need your own. How to then configure Pharo that you can actually do a pull request? The most simple version maybe not the one that you will use when you do it a lot, but that is the one that gets you started. I think the fastest is to just do a local clone from within the Pharo itself. So that means you click on clone, then you go to your own fork, click on clone or download, copy and paste this here. Then you need to say that you need to put here SSE, which is the subdirectory, and you say create. This will take a while, and due to some problems of not doing it in parallel with refreshing the system, it will actually block the Pharo application for a while, but it shouldn't be too long. So even on my slow MacBook Air, it will just take some 20 seconds or so. You can do it from the command line. There is a description in the link in the slides. You see a description of how to do it differently. But I think that this is the easiest way to get going when you want to do it the first time. So this takes a little bit. And now it's done. So now we have a clone of Pharo itself on our disk. And what we now need to do is, as I said, you cannot directly commit to the Pharo repository, but you can only, you need to, in addition to have, this is the one that you will commit to, so that's correct. But in addition, you need to put the upstream because you want to do a pull request. So that means we need to go to the Pharo main repository and need to add that too, so that we can actually do a pull request later. So we copy this here too. And then down here we have remotes. And there we say add remote. We call it Pharo. Copy and paste the URL. And we say add. And this now means that everything is done. And hopefully it will work. Why is it dirty? Yes, everything is confusing with this UI, as I always say. So you need to ignore all confusing things. That's the best approach that I found. So now we have it in a shape that we can actually do something. So now if we go back to the issue tracker, so let's go for bugs. It should actually have something trivial for us to do. So let's take the comment. Where was the comment? Roadhead by has a bad comment. So this says it should be something like, first we need to actually search for I think before doing the change, we do the preparing the thing. So before you want to submit or commit a change that will result in a fix, you actually need to take the number of the issue, go to here, Pharo, create new branch from Fogbugs, add the number, and say create. This creates in your own repository a branch just for this fix. And after we did that, we can do all the changes that we want to do. So for example, here, the idea was rotate to about, and I'm one of those people that uses the playground to get these things. So, and then we copy the comment like that. However we want. So that, I guess, looks okay. And now we can commit the change to our own repository. And we do that by saying synchronize. Which checks all the changes and shows it that we did. So now we can actually commit some kind of description. What I like to do is to put that and the link. And say commit and push. So someone there is that there is an extra N. Oops. Yep. So we can actually update our commit. Does it now look good? So now we committed. And that means that it's now on GitHub in our own repository, but it is not, there's no pull request yet. And for making a pull request, we have another menu entry. We go to GitHub, create pull request. Then I need to add my password. Which is GitHub. Copy, paste. Okay. And then we get a dialog, which we actually do not need to do too much. We just say create pull request. And now, if we go in the Pharo list of pull requests, we will see that we created pull requests. So if you look at it, it has the 2 commits. And if we go in file changed, it will show what we changed. That's it. So with this image, without doing anything new, you can now do more changes and always go before you do something, or even after you do something, you say create new branch, and then you can commit. And it works quite nicely. And it's quite fast to do lots of changes, especially if you want to do lots of small changes. It works quite well. Yeah, that's the how to do a pull request. Are there any questions? So create a new branch from Fogbugs will always start from the development branch, even if I'm currently I guess so, because they are independent of each other. So I can actually do multiple changes, and they will be not depending on each other. The second change will not include the first ones, but they are completely independent. So while the discussion goes on Discord, I think I will show already how to review changes. So for example, so all in all, the idea is that there are right now 3 ways of reviewing comments. The first one is that the one that I showed already. So if you are on GitHub and you see a change, you can look at a diff. It's very simplistic. If you go to an issue with bigger changes, you see that it actually breaks down at some point and does not really make too much sense anymore. So already something like, what do we take? Which one would I want to take? Yeah, this one, for example. If you look at the changes here, you see already that it might be a bit complicated to look through all this, because it's not really clear what the structure is and which classes you look at and all these things. So I personally like the review from GitHub itself more for really small changes. Things like something like this that I did to show. These are things that you can review relatively easily because it's kind of clear what is happening. There are only 3 methods change. And of course, really trivial changes where you just fix a typo or something like that. That can be reviewed from here. And how you review is that you have here a review changes button, and you can actually say something where you just put a comment. You say, I like that. And then it appears as a comment, which you can even put here. Or you could even say approve, which gives a bit of a hint, which I cannot do because it's my own change. It shows to the person that later does the decision of integrating this in Pharo itself that someone else looked at it and thought that this is good. And it's amazing how much this helps for the person reviewing. So for in some way, it's in a very nice way for people to contribute is to just review changes. So this is one possibility, to do it purely in GitHub, nothing else needed. Another way of doing it is that you can download the full image from the build. So if you see here the bubble says that the commit has not been built, but if it's either green or red, then it has been built. And so that means that you can find the build artifact, which is an image that contains all your changes. So that you do by going on details, which puts you immediately on the issue on the CI. There you see how the build pipeline, which is fairly complex. And if you go to artifacts, you will find all the artifacts that were created. And one of the biggest artifacts, so if you look here for something that is large, then you see 32-bit .zip, and that's actually the image that was created, the result of the bootstrap. So that one you can just download, put somewhere, uncompress. And as I like to use drag and drop, we actually need to do some small change and to remove the quarantine extended attribute. And after we do that, we can actually drag and drop it into Pharo VM. And it will start up and you can look at it just normally. And that's the image that was built from the Pharo repository with this pull request integrated. So it's exactly what Pharo will be if this will be accepted. So that's quite nice. Especially it is interesting if people do changes to the startup logic. So imagine someone says, "Oh, I improved something on how Pharo what is executed while it starts up or shuts down." These things you can only test in an image that is complete, that you actually start up and shut down. So for those changes, this is really, really important. Other big changes you actually can review in another way. And for that, we have a reviewing tool as part of Iceberg. So you go, you select down here the Pharo repository, and then you have GitHub review pull request. And there you see all currently submitted pull requests to the system. And so you can select it, you see the description, and there is a menu which says review. And this will actually open the pull request in a tool, and you can select the head of it, and then it will present to you all the changes in a nicely browsable way. It takes a while, but it should come. Yeah, so there you have the change shown in a way that you see, this is a class, this is a method, and you see all of them. There's a diff. The problem of the diff is that right now it's, I think, the wrong side, but else it works well. And there you can actually merge it in the image if you want to test it, or you can accept or reject, but I think that is only possible if you have the rights in the main repository, as far as I know. So these are the 3 ways of doing, looking at pull requests. What is interesting is that in many, many cases, actually looking at the GitHub diff is perfectly enough. Our changes tend to be quite small. In most cases, and it helps quite a lot if people look at things and comment on them. So, do I have anything else to show? I think not. So I wanted to show how to do an issue in the issue tracker. One thing that maybe that I should actually say, one thing that people should do if they commit a pull request is to actually put it in the issue tracker entry too. So to say resolve, put a link so it's easy to find, and then put it on review needed status. Red crosses. So we have right now, sadly, a problem that the CI is a bit unstable. We have not yet found out exactly why, but the problem is that the pull request checking fails in far too many cases where it should not fail at all. So it's often that it's timing related things, which has to do with the fact that we run on a virtualized machine. Sometimes network access doesn't work and we don't know why, and things like that. I hope that we will stabilize that soon, but until then, you should just look at it, and in many cases, actually, it has nothing to do with your change. That you can quickly see that. But in many cases, it actually has something to do with it. So what I do is that if it's red, I actually look at it. So I go to details. Details, and then I look at what the problem is. So in that case, actually, it looks like that deleting project workspace could not be done. So that means that it's some strange Windows artifact, and that means we just run it again. I think you do not have the right to rerun things like this if you're not admin, but you can put always a comment into the issue, and it someone should do it. It's in the end, in the whole setup, that's the most important thing that we need to improve. Another thing that I can show as the last thing is what happens if something is good and people want to actually, and it actually gets integrated. So the idea is that if an issue is green, or if the failing test has nothing to do with the issue, and people comment that it's good, then at some point, someone who has commit rights on the main repository has this nice button here, merge pull request. And so what one can do is one can actually just, in that case, do that. And this means that now there are only 22 left and it's gone. We should, then the person that does this actually says fixed, or fix integrated, and say merged, and closes the case. And afterwards, we have one issue less. So now we have only 692 open issues. And yeah, so that is actually everything that I wanted to show. So there is quite some machinery behind. Some of it is not yet really working, like the automatic tests. But all in all, it is working good enough that we can actually do stuff. So we do not need to wait for everything to be perfect. As you can see with the 840 closed pull requests, we can actually do stuff and try to get the things that people already did integrated quite easily. Any more questions? So I guess we will move over purely to the chat on Discord. And I will turn off the streaming for now.